There you go, everybody's mics on. Okay, welcome, we'll get going. First order of business is the agenda.
If nobody has any adjustments, I'm going to move we accept the agenda as presented.
Moved and seconded. Vote all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So unanimous. Public comment. Anybody here to speak to any item? How about online? Not seeing anybody, is that correct? Trish, nobody?
Nope.
Okay. Meeting minutes, approval of the March 21st Commissioners' Special Meeting.
I'm going to move to approve the minutes of the March 21st, 2023 Commissioners' Special Meeting as presented.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So unanimous. ARPA, JD.
Good morning, Commissioners. So on that report, you'll see that we're still working with Orland. They're working with Consolidated CCI on the next project. They'd be looking, we did find out from MCA, the next grant round is scheduled to be August. So we'll put together a package with CCI, with Orland to present to you probably another month. It's gonna be my guess, but you'll have it ahead of time to take a look at it. See if it fits like the other ones do. NTIA, just wanted to give an update on that. That's the one, if you remember, you guys voted on Arbac, the peninsula area. But that ended up being part of a bigger project with the state and NTIA. Consolidated has been working out there and they're getting close to actually completing their piece of that project. So that whole Blue Hill Peninsula will have project.
Have we contributed to that yet?
You did not, no, you did not need to.
Didn't need to.
No, you did not need to. Let's see. Mount Desert is starting to talk about potentially filling in some gaps in their area as well. And they're working with, I believe they may be talking to Charter Spectrum, but so 7 o'clock this morning, I got an email that was forwarded and they may have another avenue. And so they may not be coming to commissioners at all for any of that. So just wanted to keep that on your radar. The others that are going on was, the concept of that, I want to give you some more data. We'll start talking about potentially just putting one RFP out for the entire county, for what's left, I'll say, of the county. And so not for prime time necessarily, so you didn't have it in your packet, but I wanted to share this with you. And I don't know if you can see this up here, but when you look at, and I get closer, but all of these pink areas, those are all served. Really what we're talking about in this case. Can I approach?
Yeah, please.
Are these red dots.
The red dots is what we need to
That's what
serve.
we need to serve.
Not orange, red.
No.
I find that interesting.
Yeah, well, and that's, remember, that's the graphics on this height, they will get a map, Jack, numbers finalized. So it's real big stuff together, so you can see this. Yeah, great, yeah.
Could be better covered.
Yeah, there's definitely issues. And that's the gap problem, right? That's the problem. So I'll also have a spreadsheet for you, but if you look at this real quick, I took out everything, all of the components, I'm going to call it, right, you're down to these 2 towns. And a total of about 2,000 locations. So it's not a large project.
So what about, I saw a couple of, this winter, I saw a couple of fancy snowmobile trailers with a Starlink thing on them.
Yep.
And I was like, well, and I talked to a couple folks who had them. And what about an option like that for such few?
Yeah, Starlink is an option for folks. Starlink has been through a couple of iterations. And for some, it works well. One of the things that kind of highlighted it in this last, I'll say, national grant round, there's a whole other program called RDOF, Reverse Digital Opportunity Fund, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. And so Starlink put in, gosh, Jeff, was it almost $1 billion? Yeah, I think it was about $1 billion that they initially got approved for. But then as the FCC started to look at the technology, they did not get approved. And so it was not an answer to solve broadband across the United States. But I'm not saying it's not a good answer for some of these locations. It can work.
I mean,
It
I
can
was
work. There's a-
really impressed with,
There's
one of
a-
them was an attorney who needed to transfer large documents
Yeah.
back and
Right.
forth, no matter where he was, and
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Yeah, but it's also, its price has increased, on a monthly basis.
Yeah, he
for
told
folks.
me it was less than $100 a month.
It had gone over 100 at one point, so I'd be curious, but yeah. Yeah, so it's a kind of some upfront cost for the end user and then, but absolutely, it works. It works in certain applications. There's some line of sight issues, right, things you get with satellite. But the latency's gone down, the bandwidth has gone up. So it's not.
I was thinking of this, I'm like, geez, depending on how many spots,
Yeah.
it might be a way to.
Right.
Some of the spots that were on the map are part of the UT, so.
Correct.
Can you tell us what's?
We'll break
going on
those
with you
out.
guys talking together, you and Miller.
What's that?
So what kind of discussions have you had?
We haven't since we started. This is kind of a fresh map, I'll say. So now that we've identified those, I saw the same thing, Commissioner, and I'm like, all right, we gotta talk to Miller. And identify and maybe pull, kind of separate those up from a county town perspective, and a county UT perspective as well.
But gentlemen, as far as this countywide effort to get these people served now, we've been doing this now 2 years. I kind of believe that every town knows we're here to help.
Yeah.
And if you want to help, tell
Yeah.
us. It's like, why are we going out and twisting their arms, making them get broadband for their citizens if they're not willing to take the initiative themselves?
Well, I think this is an option where an RFP would be, towns wouldn't necessarily be involved, right?
We would want them involved. We would want to make sure that they understand this is coming, commissioners are helping. We're not here to solve it, right? As we've said before, it's a piece. We're here to help. So like the Gouldsboro Winter Harbor, that is a project that's going on, to your point, right? They're trying to build it. Everything takes a little bit of time. Tremont was working on stuff. They just haven't brought it here yet. So part of this is, okay, working with MCA, right? Because they're the people that are going to have the major funding in all of this. And they're also the people that are helping those towns. Yeah.
But you've queried all towns and to get their level of interest. And
Yeah.
some have basically said, we don't have a committee, we don't have.
Correct.
We don't have any interest, we don't have the time, we don't, whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we were willing to help.
Well, now. Yeah.
So what's going to change with an RFP?
This, we can look at in a couple of different ways. So some is, these towns that are active, but just are taking time, I'll say. This helps them solve that piece and say, okay, we're just gonna, if you will, jump to the RFP stage and say, okay, we know your gaps. Work with the towns, their committees if they have, we work with MCA and say, okay, we identify the gaps that everybody agrees to. So these are the rooftops that do not have broadband. And then specifically to your point is the town, because the town needs to be engaged. That's part of the MCA mantra, I'll say, right? So before any grant money is, from MCA, kind of like here, the town has to buy off and say, yes, we're engaged. We're willing to help with digital equity. We're willing to help get the word out, right? Anything that, yes, we agree with whatever the provider is chosen, so to speak. And that's what goes to the grant. From a county standpoint, I was looking at this as, okay, we've done this, as you said, for a year and a half now, whatever it's been. We can now identify, we can now, I'll say agree is a strong word. We can agree on the maps, and I say that loosely because it's FCC data, and not everybody agrees on the maps, but it is what we're going to use. It's what the state's going to use, MCA is going to use, and say, okay, this is, if it's on the map, it's identified, and that's all we're going to say. If we've missed a dot, right, we've missed a rooftop, there's nothing we can do. It gets picked up when the bill happens, right? If I go by 3 houses, and just because one of them wasn't on the map doesn't mean I don't get to serve them. It just, you can't ask for that money. That's what it comes down to. The money that the identified areas that aren't served are tied to money.
So John, the buy-in from the towns isn't necessarily a financial buy-in.
It does not need to be.
It does mean though, a town committee, a broadband committee probably though, needs to be a representative from the town, somebody will.
Somebody needs to represent
That's the
the town.
time,
Absolutely. Yep.
whether it's a
Yeah, because
committee.
we're gonna be asking that, right? We're gonna literally be going to them and saying, okay, here's what we show as identified in your area. Are you on board with that? Because that's what we have. So there has to be case review. Otherwise they're not, we would do that, if you will, we could do it a couple of different ways, right? So this would be a process. This isn't something that happens quickly, and the money for this is actually from the BEAD money, that's that money that comes out next year, the federal money that comes out next year from the infrastructure fund. So that will hit the state of Maine next year. And that's what the money would come from, the majority of this to work. Yours would be a match to that, right? But the big money is gonna come from the state, from the feds.
So to me, Bill, it's like, I know like we've been working on it for a while, so sometimes it can be like, shit or get off the pot, but a lot of the towns, I think, they're small towns, I mean, let's face it, you're talking about a few select people that are going to a meeting a month. I mean, they're not trying to figure out broadband, they know they can't do it. So that's kind of the whole point of this, is that like, you're kind of figuring it out. And then you're just you're essentially signing off on it to some degree that whatever way. So I mean, I think we have to give them a little bit of
Some slack.
you know what I mean?
So, but to that end too, right, so you to go back to your previous question, yes, so, before we would say, put an RFP on the street, we would again talk to these towns and say, here's a concept, here's what we're not even a concept anymore, here's what the county commissioners, we talk to them, here's what we are acting on, do you want to be part of it, and here's what you need to do to be part of it.
And you'll be able to go to the towns at that point and say, yeah, there's whatever, 25 households
Correct.
in your community that are not receiving broadband.
Correct.
And those are receiving broadband because it's not available as opposed to not subscribing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, that is a key
That's
point,
important.
right, that's a key point, and that's what these represent, is that they're considered unserved,
Yeah.
right? Or at least they're not world, but unserved, which means I cannot even purchase it, right, because it does not show, right, they don't get to decide, I don't like my provider. Right, the money doesn't go to, I don't like my provider, the money goes to the unserved.
Great.
That's, just want to give you a little more data as to what this concept is. We still have to pull together what's it gonna cost, right? And that's also conversations I'm having with MCA as to what they on board with this concept. Because again, they have to buy on it as well, because it doesn't necessarily fit their current model.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
No, so that's it. So this morning, if you have questions on this, and I'll just keep kind of looking at it.
I'm going to move that we accept and file a mission broadband report as presented.
Second,
Seconded.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Good.
Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Millard. UT, our monthly report we have before us. Is there anything to add?
The only thing to add is with the Howland, we have received the notice that they want to terminate the existing contract. We were expecting that anyway.
And we understand you're working with them to try to come up with a new contract, Millard?
Yes, they're trying to form a regional district. But there's a meeting on the 13th that I will attend. I guess personally, I don't think we need to join the district. I would like to just contract with the district once they form it, but it's still a work in progress.
And there was an email provided to us
Yeah, just mostly everything that was given to you was just an update of where we are and what they're talking about, just so there's no surprises when down the road.
So I'm gonna move to accept and file the UT report as presented.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Nothing to add, Millard? All in favor? Any opposed? So unanimous. Next up is a memorandum of understanding template for the regional animal control officer position between Hancock County and individual member municipalities.
Yes, at the March meeting, you approved the concept of a document that we had, and in the meantime, Mike has revised it to fit the county's needs.
Michael?
Yeah, so I mean, that's the basic summary. You took the document you saw before from them, tried to insert it into the basic format. Obviously, we're not asking you to approve specific things. Just today is just the format of what the document presents, and then we'll go back to each member of municipality and say, here's what we heard from you, you wanted to see, here's how we intend on trying to solidify that agreement between both parties. And then allow them their chance to get it approved, and then we will come back to you. Hopefully, they'll be able to do this relatively quickly, but as soon as we get some back, we'll keep adding them on the agenda for you to approve. The only changes that, as I mentioned in what I sent you, the only change language from what they approved was basically the protocols, the procedure for the after hours and contacting the RCC. And they were looking to really have the RCC kind of just do everything and look at those priority levels and make the decision as to who they should call and who they, depending on the circumstances. And when I met, as I indicated, with the director, that presented a number of different issues just for them as well. So really the goal would be to try to get them to designate an after hours person. And obviously the RCC, if they get the 911 call, they're going to do kind of like what they do right now, which is answer the call. And if they know the community and whose response, they give them the number and tell them. But it doesn't require start to finish follow-up. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things that happen under normal calls, and I believe.
Now, excuse me, Michael, when you say 911 call, are you being general? Because dog roaming at large does not qualify for dialing 911, does it, Bob?
Not specifically, but that's how it comes in.
How it comes
most of the time.
We don't try to discourage the public from doing that.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, because when you start telling people not to call 911, they don't call 911 for the real stuff. We just deal with it, process it, continue on.
I'm just curious if we shouldn't be
I mean, just yesterday,
promoting that,
just yesterday, we had, within a very short period of time, we had 3 separate animal control issue complaints throughout the county in a very quick period of time, that 3 different methods of having to deal with it.
Did they all come in on?
A couple of them did come on that one because they were dogs in the middle of the roadway, aggressive dogs. The challenge that we have is that many towns don't have an ACO or don't maintain a current roster of their ACO. The way that the state states it's supposed to be is if they don't have an ACO, then the selectmen are supposed to deal with it, and selectmen don't want to deal with it. We had one, we actually had to refer to the state animal welfare because nobody in that town would take that person's complaint. So that creates more stuff for the dispatchers to have to do when they're in the middle of all the other stuff that they do. That's a conversation that Michael and I had, where it's great on paper that just have the RCC handle it. But there's all these other things that are going on at the same time. To find somebody to handle the ACO problem. It's just adding more layers to this problem that we're having in general.
But the town's interested in this animal regional control officer, plus the towns that the organized PDs. They're going to be well over half the communities in Hancock County, isn't it, Millard?
1, 2.
I thought we had 11 or 13.
9 and 13. Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 2/3.
2/3, yeah. So that's with a format in place. I would think that would be helpful.
I think if it was consistent, Yes, it'll be very helpful. It's the inconsistencies of us having to try to figure out every community's separate process. That takes, it's very time consuming.
Well, that's what Michael was trying to do here.
The goal basically is that not have to have them sit there and pull out a sheet and say, well, this is a low priority, so I'm gonna call this person, this person. It's like each municipality should designate it. Some of them may not want to deal with it. They may say, well, look, and this is why we wanted to jump on board with the county to have them handle calls. So I don't want to be doing it, but you have other ones that don't. They have limited budgets, so they want to try to control the dollars as much as possible. So that's kind of why they wanted to have more input into it. But obviously with the regional ACO that will hire, we're gonna explain this process to them. They're gonna have this format. They're gonna know, like, if it's not a priority, it doesn't mean that they have to go flying all the way across the county to provide service at extra cost. If it's something they can wait until the morning and keep in contact, or the town municipal office and the officials that are gonna be handling certain elements of it, then that's fine. But it doesn't require somebody picking up 911 to try to address it and then have a dispatcher spend time trying to chase down people or go through a configuration to determine who the appropriate person should be. So
Do you want us taking action to approve the drafts as you give them to us, or wait till you bring us the final?
So my intent was to wait until we got their signatures on them and then have them bring them back and have you approve.
So you don't need us to approve the drafts?
But basically, my philosophy at this point, you can officially approve it or not, it's up to you, but I wanted to make sure you've seen it and that you were on board with it. So the drafts themselves, obviously, this is what we're gonna send back to the member municipalities. So that's what I want to make sure that the commissioners were okay with before we did that. But whether you officially approve a draft or not, you will have another opportunity to approve the actual.
Yeah, so my personal feelings, I think it is important for us to approve this draft. So Michael has a document to send to an approved document to send to a municipality that
Okay,
just comes back to us.
so
I
I'm
think
gonna,
that was the result of the last meeting. You approved the concept and asked for us to bring it back to this meeting as a memorandum of understanding. But before we go get people to sign it, we'd like to make sure that you agree with this document.
Yeah, that's why Michael made these edits.
okay, so I'm gonna move that we approve the draft MOU for the regional animal control officer position between Hancock County and the individual member municipalities as presented.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, that wording does what we need to do. Yeah. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 None opposed, so unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next up is request approval to hire Daniel McKay of Trenton as the part-time regional animal control officer for Hancock County at a wage of $25 per hour. Millard, or I don't know if anybody wants to introduce it.
So essentially, we had received 4 applications. We interviewed 2 candidates that met the minimum criteria that the county had set aside. The committee of 3 unanimously chose 1 individual, extended an offer to that individual, and they obviously accepted, and that's what you have before you right now. This individual does have some training and experience with animals that he obtained through the military. So it does have a little bit of background. There's obviously other things that we'll have to do, and including get certified. And as soon as we can get him signed up for a state class, whenever they're gonna put it on, then he obviously knows he has to do that and is agreeable to do it as soon as possible. So he seems very motivated, is familiar with the county, and has an interest in the position. So we're very optimistic that hopefully we can get this started. We know there'll be some adjustments as we go, most likely, but at least we have an opportunity to put this into motion.
Well, great. Great job, everybody who was involved in that. Thank you.
So I'm gonna move that we approve the employment of Daniel McKay of Trenton as the part-time regional animal control officer with a starting wage of $25 an hour.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 None opposed, so unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next up is airport. monthly report. Leroy, we have your report before us. Anything to add or?
Nope, I think it was, nope, I got nothing.
Okay, then I'm gonna move to accept and file the airport report as presented.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So unanimous. Thank you, Leroy.
Thanks.
Next up is request approval of the grant application for the remark airfield pavement crack sealing and the chair to sign.
So this application is to FAA.
Yes, this is for the grant, correct? Yes, the AIP grant process.
So we put that project out to bid so we know how much it costs, and then we file an application for that amount. Is that what's happening?
Correct.
Yes. Then it's just a matter of procedure, right?
Correct.
Gentlemen, if you look at it that way, I'll move. Okay. I'm going to move to approve the grant application for the REMAC airfield pavement and crack sealing and for the chair to sign.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed. So unanimous. Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you.
District Attorney, request approval to promote Misty Everson to Secretary 1 position at grade 9, step B.
Evanson.
Sorry,
That's
I
okay.
put an ER in there. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner. Colleen Rocker for the 8th Ranger. We are requesting to, as you said, hire Ms. Evanson as the Secretary 1 position, grade 9, step B, due to her tenure in the office. She's been with us for almost a year now. And the fact that she has 17 years' experience with law enforcement agencies in another state, here in the state of Arizona.
Now have you discussed this with HR as far as the step B?
We,
And HR concurs that it's worthy of it? Okay,
Any further comments or any kind of motion?
if not, I'll move to approve the promotion of Misty Evanson to the Secretary 1 position at grade 9, step B.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm going to move to approve the advertisement for the full-time legal secretary 3 position to post simultaneously in-house and outside.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Congratulations. EMA monthly report. We have the report before us is. I don't think it's on the line. We have the report.
You have the report, but he had another engagement this morning.
Okay, so I'm going to move to accept and file the EMA report as presented.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So unanimous.
And the only other thing with EMA is that are we looking at sometime in the near future, have a discussion with him on his federal funds that he's
Next meeting.
That's my understanding, next meeting. Yeah.
that's coming next meeting?
Yeah. Okay, we're ready to move on. IT, cybersecurity, CJIS preparation and compliance.
Oh, yes, the beautiful, beautiful thing with the FBI coming and breathing down our backs. Luckily, we have a tank and a lasso that does most of that for us. But pushing forward, I've used the FEMA training that was brought to me by Mr. Sankey. And that was the program that I've decided to use this year to give us a baseline to build from. And then nearly everybody's response. I thank them for their help with that. And then that again works towards our cybersecurity insurance that we purchased to keep ourselves compliant. And then I'll continue training. I've already sent out a monthly reminder, and this month I'll send out another one. And that's just little snippets and little things just to keep them up to date. Because if we keep them understanding what the technology is and keep them understanding what the terms are, then they're better to defend against it, because I can't fight the battle all by myself. And so I need everybody's help in that.
That said, don't we have two gentlemen here that need to do the test?
I've already addressed that before the meeting starts. And
Tell us that again. What do we need to do?
The packets that I handed out.
Yeah.
This shows you how to get to the FEMA site to sign up for the training itself. And then there's a second set of papers in here. There's actually a copy of the training. And then you can use that to assist you as you go through.
Chuck, I didn't even have a timeout my machine.
It's very easy.
You've done it?
Unfortunately, it does take 40 minutes or so to get you through, but once you do it, and there's a certificate, just send it to my office, and I'll have it printed and put in my binder of holding, where everybody else's is at, and
It'll be a cell phone.
You'll have a nice certificate to put in your office.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I have a motion. You'll have to. I'm going to move to approve the purchase of the Manage Engine AD Self-Service Plus Solution from the Zoho Corporation for the first year annual sum of $2,251.
Seconded?
Wait a minute. The rest of this is asking to be taken from ARPA.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Unfortunately, at this moment, another option has been provided to us. I've been looking for one of our government contracts down in Virginia. They had PIV cards, PIV cards, personal identification cards that look like your, it's got this little silver contact on it, which holds data. It actually holds data on the hard drive. So I was looking at our cards, and I was thinking to myself, we need to do what is known as multi-factor authentication. That means beyond a password. Something you know, something you are, or something you have. And I was thinking to myself, we use this for the doors. In the government contract world, we always have these on our lanyards, and we're always walking around. You can have it so everybody can see it. Get you through the doors, but you also use it to get into your computer. So you use this in your reader. That's one factor. Password, that's two factor. And now you're inside. That makes it secure so that anybody who's trying to hack you or take over your computer has to have an item you have and something you know. And so I just found last night a company called Inventive in New Hampshire that actually has this kind of technology. I thought PIV cards were only relegated to the federal government. But I just found out last night talking to Mr. Gay from the state that in fact we can have the PIV cards, but I'm like, why are we gonna buy more cards when we have cards that do things for us already? Why don't we just get contactless readers, but we just get a card, lay it on top like charging a phone, and then it gives us access to the computer. So unfortunately, we have to put the multi-factor off for this round.
yeah, so it doesn't sound like there's any fire. We can just continue.
We're gonna discontinue that for now, and we're gonna look further into the card option.
Yeah, so what we can do is table this item.
all right, so there's no need to have a motion to.
No,
that is
Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. But it is something that needs to be implemented as part of cybersecurity.
So, so what you had provided us a bunch of documentation. So probably what'll happen is we'll table this and that documentation including and what you found on top of it will be part of a presentation and we'll be making a decision then.
Okay, yes.
Is that what you're?
Yes, please.
advocating? So, maybe a motion to table this item to a future meeting might be in order.
Okay, I'm gonna move to take this information under advisement and to take action at a later meeting.
Seconded?
Thank you.
Moved and seconded. Is there anything else to add? Did you want to cover any of this stuff or cover it all when you learn more or?
We'll cover it all when we learn more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
The only other thing is
Just a second, Chuck. Call vote.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to add to that?
not to that part, no.
Okay, so we're ready to vote on that item?
Aye.
Aye. So unanimous. Go ahead.
All right, to move forward with the cybersecurity, we're going with, continuing to add a product from Tyler Detect. Right now, we have them looking into our servers and into key points like the firewall. And they're gathering all the data that's coming in, and they're reviewing it in what is called a SOC, where they actually have a physical body, somebody sitting there looking at our files and our data and saying, this looks malicious, this does not look malicious, and give us a report. I sent a monthly report to Mr. Cooker, but if I need to send you monthly reports, we can do that. Okay.
I don't, it's really above us, intellectually, I mean. But I don't see a need to, any more that's being done. You're summarizing it. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Okay. The additions that Tyler will bring to us is they will actually come in and do a penetration testing. They will actually come in and attack our network on purpose and tell us where the faults lie. We've done a lot through them to already lock and put things in the right order, but we need to know, and we don't know until they actually go through and do this. I've also taken a lot of time and I've gone online. If I had been smart in my past life, I would have just kept all the policy paperwork and all that crazy stuff from all the jobs down there in Virginia, but I didn't. And so I had to go and find and pull from different sources to try to put together a bunch of policies. Tyler Detect will help us with that. They'll be able to take the few that I've done and review them and make sure that they are in an acceptable state, or if we had make changes, and also help us make others that I haven't gotten time to get to make yet. So that's the big stuff, is having those policies in place. When they come and do an audit, we can say, here it is. What are you looking for? Okay, we have that right here. That's always what you want to do.
And this, as I understand, this is something that can be reimbursed through Homeland Security, is that correct?
This is in conjunction with EMA, and there's the cyber grant that they
That
were
they've
to
received.
obtain for us. Yes.
Okay,
And
that's
it's called Tyler, they call it a comprehensive plan, and like Ben is trying to describe here is the different parts of that plan. What it does, it puts us into full compliance with CGIS and the FBI audit. And it's all stuff that we have to have done.
and this applies to, what's the law enforcement?
The CGIS.
No, what do we use?
Spillman?
Spillman.
Yes.
Right.
This
Yes.
is all rolled in.
Actually, this is everybody.
Okay.
Right now, what has happened in the past is CGIS has just covered the sheriff's department. There really has been very little cybersecurity on the county side, because nobody's been here. And so I've come in, and that's one reason why I've pushed for the FEMA training, was to get everybody in the know so that they understand those basic steps that they can take to help us defend against whatever's attacking us. Tyler's going to help us cover both sides. And coming from the government contract, I see the sheriff's department as top secret. I see county side as confidential. All this stuff is important information that nobody's supposed to have unless they have the right to know. And I need to cover and protect all of that. CGIS has covered the sheriff's department because they come in and do audits and they do all of that stuff. But the county have been kind of neglected. And so I'm pushing to, everybody's going to be at a level.
Great. Good, great information, thank you. Anything else to add, or?
Is it possible to ask a couple questions? All right. I'm wondering to myself this past evening, am I the cybersecurity officer for the sheriff's department and county seat? Or am I a security officer for the county as a whole? Because those are two different creatures.
When you say county as a whole, you mean the municipalities and everybody in the county?
Yeah, everybody within the borders on that.
No, that's
Okay. Whew, that takes-
No, I mean, that's,
No, that,
I was like, that means all the schools, that means all
we
the,
don't have that authority.
okay,
yes.
okay, that makes me feel much better. Okay.
We be charged in big bucks.
Okay, the other question I think kind of answered itself. But I do have a need to present a user agreement, and this is gonna be in the future. A user agreement between everybody who touches a computer and my office, saying that they understand you can't surf bad sites with it, you can't download stuff like this off it, you don't do file sharing on it, and you don't load your son's video game on it and give it to him to play. This is county equipment, this is for specific purposes, there are probably PII on this. That information needs to be secured, you can't do these actions. If you want a personal computer, go ahead and buy one.
Yep, let's go ahead and draft that up.
Yeah, I would think that you work with the administrator on that for a presentation.
And also need to work with Mary and HR to get everybody trained on the FEMA, so when they come in and do the paperwork, this will be part of their entrance. When they come in, they have to meet the standard.
User agreement too.
Yes, and user agreement, yeah.
Orientation.
Yes.
Very good.
Great, well, thank you.
Yes.
So do we need to get approval to purchase the Tyler comprehensive plan through the grant, or do we have to have a motion for that?
So the way that it was explained to me, talking with Andrew, that was part of their grant
That's right.
and their grant process, and that
They're paying for it.
as long as it's, within the confines or the restrictions of that grant, then you're okay.
We did want to make you aware of where we're going and what we're doing with it, so.
But essentially, when you approved him to apply for the grant way back when, that's kind of when,
You're fine. Great.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
I hesitate to ask you, it's getting hot here.
I'm trying to, I got it all.
Yes.
You gotta ask IT to see if they can regulate a heat source.
I know, because the chair is not, certainly not qualified right now, so. The prior chair did a pretty good job, though, didn't he?
And he said it was so cold.
Yeah, that's
Got it, I think.
Well, we got maintenance here too. I think that there's gonna be somebody in this room knows how to run this machine.
Arrow down.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You got it.
Okay. it's fine. Okay, we'll cool you down. Okay, next up, human resources, monthly report. We have that before us. It's pretty exciting. Anything to add, Mary?
No, but is there anything else you would like me to put on it? That would be my question. Because I tried to put down what I thought you would want to know, but if there's anything else in addition that I can put on there for you?
Personally, I love this. It's simple, to the point, under 2 pages,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Yeah, it's sweet. Yeah. You might want to confer with the sheriff on how to spell that. Other than that, you're fine.
I have too many R's.
More people do that wrong. They think it's 2 R's, 2 F's. No, I think this is great. We've never had anything like this. And it reinforces with me what we have been preaching now for the last few years, and that's to have the departments working with HR consistently on many of their, their personnel endeavors. So, thank you.
The work in progress.
Good, thank you very much. So I'm going to move to accept and file a human resource report as presented.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed, so unanimous. Thank you very much. Sheriff.
Good morning. I just have one item. I believe you have a copy of a mutual aid agreement that I sent you to look at prior to this meeting. This is just a document to cover us and to identify what we would do if an agency asked for assistance, and likewise, if we asked for assistance, would they supply that to us? Chief Willis has been working on this. All the other chiefs, all the chiefs in the county have already signed off on that. I'd be the last one. I'm just asking for you to look at it, have any concerns, and permission to sign that document.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, thank you for showing this with us and sharing this with us, but this is an operational issue
It is.
between you and the chiefs, and we can give you a blessing that we agree with everything in it, but as far as, I think this is an approval between you and the other agencies, it's an operational issue, and that's your prerogative.
I agree, but I don't think any of us like surprises, so, no, it's one of those deals that, even, I'll be blunt, even if we didn't agree on this, if somebody calls for help, we'll go. Plain and simple, so.
No, I thank you, because this, without this coming before us, we don't know about it. Knowing about it is.
Now, if it felt help, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going.
The thing about this issue here is that if the sheriff goes, he's in an area where he has jurisdiction anyways. He has as much jurisdiction in Ellsworth as Ellsworth PD does. I guess the concern I have is that occasionally the sheriff is being asked to go to outside his jurisdiction for help. And, I mean,
We've tried to get all 16 sheriffs to sit down and come up with an agreement that would help everybody, that would cover everybody and satisfy, commissioners all around the state. We haven't been able to do that. And I'll give you a perfect example, is when Corporal Cole was killed in Somerset County. The call went out for everybody and people went. An officer calls for help, or department calls for help, other departments are gonna go, plain and simple. That's what we're made of. That's what we do.
So I guess my issue, Scott, is that what legal jurisdiction do you have to take action? That's the issue.
Yeah, it is, and that's why we.
And I'd like to see something reinforced in legislature because you were called to that longest search in the state when the accused murderer up in Piscataquis County. And that concerns me far more than assisting another agency within the county, so.
And me too. I agree with you 100%. So I'll sign that document, you're aware of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maintenance, we have monthly report for us, Dennis, anything to add or?
No,
If not, I'll move to approve the maintenance report, move to accept and file the maintenance report as presented.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next up is request removal of Damian Abraham from the county payroll.
I'm gonna move that we move to approve Damian Abraham from the county payroll.
Seconded. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed, so unanimous.
I'm gonna move to approve the maintenance department to advertise for a part.
Oh,
no, wait a
no. Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's right too.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be a good time to announce to department heads and whatnot that we're no longer going to be, that we, the commissioners, no longer going to be approving your ability to advertise. We're now saying that if you get ready, go see the administrator and the HR director. And if everybody's in agreement, go ahead and advertise. So the first time we see it is when you found a candidate that you want to hire to employ, then we talk about it then. So we're no longer going to be making you jump through that extra step.
thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Clarifies a big
Yeah,
question.
policy was in place, so we just practice and I think.
Sure,
having
become a habit, sure.
HR and administrator where save a step. Sheriff's step update.
Yes, I got interesting email from Mike Sealander yesterday saying that the contractor doesn't like the job. Well,
Doesn't want to work.
there was a problem, a design problem with the way the steps sloped and drained. And so my question to him was, we need to find a solution. So he set up a meeting between the county and this vendor and himself to find a solution. We knew about the guardrail being delayed. And as you know from a previous report, and I re-emphasized the fact that we're not going to press for liquidated damages if their materials can't. That's, a no-brainer, but I submitted that to Sealander in writing as well. so that it might assuage their fears with paying liquidated damages because they can't put the handrail in because it hasn't arrived yet. I kind of get that. And so hopefully we're gonna meet next week and come up with a solution for this drainage situation. And
Do you think this is a case of where they don't want to do the job, or they want to get it designed to their satisfaction?
they want it to be a design that works. They don't want to
You don't think
install
they're
this.
just looking for a way to get out
I
of it?
don't, I hope not. That's, Dave and I did meet with them on site down below. And at that time, we talked about adding maybe a scupper or a shallow spot with a drain and diverting it, the way the original design had planned to do it. And they seemed okay with that. I don't know whether it was Sealander that was balking at it or what, I'll find out, you know. And if it's, a few $1,000s more, I mean, from my position, it seems like, we probably pony up for that as we did for the moving from steel to stainless on the guardrail material. Short of, getting your approval, I kind of felt that you'd feel the same way in that regard. If it was double the price, that's one thing, but adding a bit more for an approved design, it makes sense to me. And I thought that you'd agree with that. So I it said, let's find a solution and then we'll bring it to you. But, yeah, very disheartening,
Well,
but
I'm not hung up on having to approve that, but I do, of course, work with Michael and Bill. What do you think?
Well, I think your plan, we gotta have a plan. And if it
Yeah.
gets come before us, you'll bring it before us.
right. And let's meet,
In conjunction with Michael.
yeah, let's meet with the contractor and see what they say. I mean, the focus for me is to get this done once and for all.
Had there been a start date,
End of this month, end of April.
it still could go on if you.
Still
resolve
good,
this.
by my estimation.
Yeah.
Okay, we all set on that one? Okay, next up is a bid opening for the middle roof project. We have one bid from GR Roofing LLC of Brewer.
Yeah. Unfortunately. In terms of they need to meet with them again, and ask them if they will. They should have been providing first. We've started like the shares.
Yeah, EPDM, flat roof, it has some, it's a membrane.
Okay, and it's a fixed bid price of $57,000.
So take this under advisement, did you come back, or you want to accept it, or did you have some sense of what this should cost?
I thought 60 or under.
Do you want to take this now and just make,
I'd like to look at it first, make sure
Yeah, I
all
think,
three of the roofs are
today?
right, and I'll get back to you a little later.
a little later, or if it has to go to the next meeting, it wouldn't be a disaster, right?
Okay, no,
We'll come back and move to take it under advisement for action at a later meeting if you don't get back, okay?
okay,
In the meantime, we'll just wait till if he comes back.
Okay, Okay, we're ready to move on?
yeah, let me get on this, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is RCC. We have your monthly report. Anything else to add, Bob?
Just throw out there to reiterate a couple of points there. We're seeing more structure fires this year than ever before. My own department, we've been to 9 building fires this year. Last year, we did 12 for the whole year. I don't know what the issue is, just seem to be a lot of them lately. We're still dealing with the EMS shopping thing. I don't bring it to your attention much anymore because it's the same old story, but we're still working on trying to figure out how to fix that. And lastly, she's not here, but I wanted to thank Mary Ann for what she's been doing for me for the dispatcher position.
got more applicants than I could possibly, almost, out of a 2-week period of me going to her, asking her for help. We getting basically saturated with applicants. I've got a handful of quality applicants to look at, so that's been a, I kind of hope you're here to hear that, but I certainly appreciate that work that she's done. She's also keeping track of it, so I don't have to keep track of all the applications. It's been very, very well appreciated, so.
Oh, I think that's a good
I
reflection.
appreciate when you acknowledged it in the report.
Yeah.
It's nice to like,
I was gonna,
I really like
I
someone
mean,
that-
I didn't have any applicants and suddenly I've got one I can handle, so.
Well, and I think that's what happens when you work together. That's, you know what, I know Mike was working hard on that too. That's, thank you for acknowledging.
I'm gonna move to accept and file the ICC report as presented.
seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed, so unanimous. Next up, treasurer, approve monthly bills and warrants.
I'm gonna move to approve the monthly bills and warrants as presented.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bob, come back. You all set? Bob, would you come back to the podium and just make that last statement again, please? I am so.
I remember how it worked for it. But my last statement was I was just commenting on the fact that it's been great working with you on this. Our seeking of qualified applicants, where you've been able to basically saturate me with more applicants than I've probably ever had. Other than a few times ago with Indeed that we had a bunch of crap, but we've really, it's been a nice process to actually have some applicants to work with. We didn't have any until you helped me out there. So just letting you know that I appreciate it. Everything that you're doing so far, so it helps take some of that off our plate, keeping track of the applications and making sure.
Bob, thanks for the comment. Mary Ann, thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you. And that's how it's supposed to work. It's great. Thank you.
I think she's got those 3D printers that she's printing them.
Oh, is that what you're
Printing everything else, so I think that's what she's doing.
Okay, under treasurer, review of 2022 year-end Fund 1 financials, plus Fund 1 Department Reserve Fund transfers. Monica?
In our report, we've had a chance to review that. I only did Fund 1 because I'm busy. So hopefully, as each meeting goes, I'll be able to do a better review of the end of 2022 on the other major funds.
So, I really like this, thank you. What I like is, or what I would find useful is, like, a lot of this can be timing. You know, I was looking at this and some of it's timing, some of it, you know, if you could just insert, you know, this is a timing issue, or in your comment, in another place what did you say? We're gonna be a little, I don't know, I like those editorial comments is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's really helpful, and I like that the way you refer to the funds, and I like the simplicity of it, and just, I really like it. Thank you.
Then we have the transfer sheets for, I don't know if you got a chance to review those, for you to sign and
Those are way.
They're in your books, but they weren't in the,
They weren't in the document.
no, because I didn't have them at the time, so they're in
Okay.
your books.
so it's just the reserve fund balances being put into the G accounts. Commissioners, for your department, the ortho imagery money. One for maintenance. They had a small amount to move to their vehicle escrow. The RCC probate deeds, IT, and Sheriff's Department. pretty much what's done from year to year. I don't know that transfer sheets have been done in the past, but I thought that was the best way to go.
Yeah, no, it's. We're ready to take action on these, or?
Yeah, we've got to take them individually.
Yeah, you're gonna end up signing them anyway, so.
Take them individually.
Well, we got to name them at least. Okay.
First, you want me to go through them? The first one is IT reserves.
I'm just wondering, what are we approving, the transfer of $105,467.33?
No, no,
No, 900.
we're only transferring $900. It's there.
So how about I frame it like this? So, first up is, transfer from IT reserves budget of $929.91 to the technology reserve escrow. Entertain motion. So you could say, so moved.
Well, I gotta get this down here.
Patrice, you can, who's keeping minutes?
Yeah, we could add it in on the,
Yeah, if I read it right off this, and he
it
says
goes
so
into the
moved.
notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they won't be on my motions. You're gonna have to
Okay.
get them off the recording or.
Yep.
Okay, so first up is, I'll repeat it again.
We'll just make it in the form of motion.
Yeah, IT reserves budget, from the IT, transfer from the IT reserves budget, $929.91 to the technology reserve escrow. Or somebody could say so moved. I'm the chair, I should.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let me make the motion then. Go ahead. I'm gonna, so moved. John seconded it.
Yeah.
Call vote.
Yeah, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'm, I,
So none opposed, unanimous.
I'm gonna move to transfer $2,000 in the probate reserve accounts to their escrow accounts.
That's
Deeds to their escrow account.
Seconded.
That's sufficient.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna move to transfer $6,500 from the Commissioner's Department to their escrow account.
Seconded.
Ortho imagery.
Also escrow account.
Moved and seconded. Everybody's clear what we're voting on? All in favor?
Aye. I'm gonna move to transfer $5,665.26 from the RCC's equipment reserves to their equipment escrow account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Everybody's clear what they're voting on? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna move that we transfer $1,000 from the probate office equipment reserves to the probate equipment escrow account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna move that we transfer $856.75 from the maintenance vehicle reserve account to the maintenance vehicle escrow account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna move that we
John, okay, so unanimous. Sorry.
I'm gonna move that we transfer $75,916.02 from the sheriff's copy reserve account, the sheriff's vehicle reserve account, and the civil vehicle account to the sheriff's copier escrow, cruiser escrow, and civil vehicle escrow accounts.
Seconded.
Moving second, all in favor? Aye. And all these motions were as presented. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, County Administrator, Mission Square Retirement Health Savings Plan.
Can you approve the bills and move that motion,
The warrant,
monthly bills and warrants?
they did,
We did not. Oh, did we?
At the beginning, you
Did
approved
you?
him, and
So they
then,
did take the vote.
then you hopped back over to the RCC.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah, we did, that's right.
Yeah, did you finish the vote?
Yes.
they did.
Thank you, Michael, for watching out.
Well, wanted to make sure. All right, so for Mission Square retirement, I kind of summarized this in a separate memo to you, but yeah, basically what we found is, as we've been doing with all these programs, finance and human resources now with Mary Ann and myself, we've been working together to make sure we understand how all these programs are supposed to work and what services and are being provided to, obviously, our employees. So during this process, as we're looking at the agreements and, you know, the CBA agreements with unions, and then looking at the actual agreements with ICMART and now Mission Square, we noticed that even though we have been taking stuff out for the law enforcement unit, the RCC dispatch unit, and the jail unit qualifying employees, we didn't have an agreement to support the jail unit on either side. So it's not in the written CBA agreement, and it's not in the agreement with now, which would be Mission Square. So I'm seeking guidance. We continue to do what we've done in the past, which has been to make those contributions for the 2022, but going forward, obviously, we felt we need to bring it to your attention and correct it, which we seem to be obviously get an agreement with them and then talk to the union about however we want to approach that.
Was it timing that we did it in one CBA and just haven't had a chance to put
No.
it in the jail yet?
I don't think so, because
It's
this has
just
been quite a
not-
while. It just,
You've been doing this for a
it
long time.
never, it just never got plugged in there or whatever. And I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know how it started that the jail unit was added, or maybe it has been since the beginning. It just that unit didn't get on to the actual documentation. Because the original agreement went back to what, like 2007 or something? I think?
Well,
A while back.
they've always been staggered, so if we'd done it all at the same time for the three classifications, then we'd had to, for the three units, we'd have had a side letter or something to do it.
Sounds like we've been doing it and we need to formalize it. And I mean, in my opinion, there's no going backwards. It's- we need to
Which is
figure
as
this
simple
out.
as a side letter until we.
Yeah, I would assume so. Simply, we'll just draw up a side letter. I mean, I don't know if I'll catch him today, but I can talk with Joe about it as well and just say, look, I mean, here's what we found. And
He can't complain. I mean, he can only complain if we don't do it.
I would assume, yeah.
I mean, if we say, okay, we're gonna stop now because it's not in the contract,
No, we-
I don't think, we don't want to. do
No,
that.
it's not the right thing to do.
No. No, I
And
think,
we assumed that was the case, but obviously I didn't want to start going forward until
Yeah.
kind of knew how you wanted to proceed, so.
we only do that at the end of the year, so.
Yeah, so I mean,
It's not like
basically,
something we're doing every month.
we've done the contributions now, so really this wouldn't come up again until the end of this year. And obviously, we'd be doing the contributions sooner. Normally, those are done in, you know, the end of January, early February and all that. We're a little bit behind because of, again, all the transitions, but
Are they aware of this, is Joe? And
I have not spoken to Joe directly about it yet at this point. Because again,
Yeah, you didn't know what they-
I didn't want to promise him something, say, yeah, we'll just do a side letter with you, and you guys come back to me and say no.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it only benefits the union, so I'm not sure why they would object to
No.
working with us on incorporating that same language. I mean, that's basically all we're gonna be doing, is taking the same language from the other two agreements and inserting it into the jail one.
Plus, it's been practiced, it's established.
Yeah.
So,
it would be a cheap shot. The only complaint they have is that we're providing a benefit, not providing the CBA in an effort to get them to realize they don't need the union. So I mean, Joe's not gonna do that to us. So there's no downside to having done this. Nobody's gonna complain.
oh,
And
sorry.
just continue to do it. we might not have the side letter today, but I think we need to tell Joe today and, in fact, tell him we're taking care of him doing his business. You should have realized this, Joe. No. Well, I mean, if we tell him how good we are to it, maybe he'll be good to us back.
Okay, so we need,
Wait until we're in negotiations.
so we need to take action on this.
Well, I'm going to move to authorize the county administrator to work with Mission Square to update the Mission Square Retirement Health Savings Plan Agreement with Hancock County to include the jail unit, and to authorize the county administrator to sign an updated agreement on behalf of the county. And I'm gonna file another motion with the union, please.
Seconded.
So moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Michael, you all set?
No, it's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna move to authorize the county administrator to work with representatives of the union to develop for the jail unit, CBA, a side letter or an agreement to the agreement that includes the precise language for the retirement health savings plan that is included in the current law enforcement and the RCC 911 dispatcher unit collective bargaining agreements, and to present such letter or amendment to that agreement to the commission for their approval and signatures.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further comment? Michael, you all set?
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
So unanimous. Tenants on demand software upgrade agreement. Michael.
So just a brief summary, when we were having issues with the software and certain departments integrating that, as part of that process, it came to their attention and our attention as well, because we didn't realize they had an upgrade, that they were using the prior version, and they had upgraded most people to the core version 3 that was listed there. This really, I mean, in my opinion, to a degree, is just kind of a standard thing and probably could be just done by the administrator, but obviously the agreement is updated and does change a little bit to the degree that the technology that existed in 2017 is obviously different now than it was back then. So they've added some additional language in there, and of course, it makes it pretty clear in most cases. They'll indemnify and do something if it's their issue, and if we do something wrong, then obviously we can't hold them accountable. So, but the real question was whether or not an agreement of this nature that's just a kind of a re-upping or an upgrade, and where there's no change in price at the moment, whether or not commissioners need to review those, or whether I could just go ahead and sign.
I thought it was $3 a month increase. What's this mean? As you can see in both current agreements, the one from 17 is a $2.95 per employee.
Yeah, which is
That's the cost, but it's not the increase.
No, so the real difference amounts to, there's a difference in overall price, but it's because of numbers. So the 1 and 2, the original agreement we had 120 individuals, and then this one is right now is like 114, I think it was. But the price, the $2.95, and then the price for the clocks were the same.
Same price.
Yeah, those are from from 17.
Yeah.
So you're asking us to approve this new agreement for the updated version, correct?
That's the ultimate ask, yes.
So gentlemen, I'm going to move to approve the terms and conditions for use of attendance on-demand services as presented, to authorize the county administrator to sign the attendance on-demand order form to upgrade to version 3 of the core.
Seconded.
Seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And none opposed. So unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, energy efficiency community block grant. Michael.
So we had been notified, and that email was forwarded on to me from one of the commissioners, that the county had been allocated essentially $76,920 as part of this bipartisan infrastructure law related to the Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant, or the EECBG. And basically, I gave you the handouts and stuff. This overall parameters are associated with that, but dealing with energy planning, energy efficiency, renewables, transportation, unlocking sustainable financial solutions for energy projects and program, and workforce development are the overarching objectives or goals that policies and such that can be implemented underneath this. The question I have for the commission, at this point, by the end of the month, we have to fill out the pre-award information sheet, which just says, yes, the county is interested in it, and we will submit some type of formal plan going forward for the use of those funds prior to January of 2024.
So if we collect those funds, who's gonna manage that?
Well, I mean, at this point, by default, I guess it would be me, in conjunction with, I mean, we've talked about different things, depending on what we do with it. You know, if it's a building issue or something that we can utilize here to take advantage, I mean, we even talked, I haven't looked into it in depth, but I talked a little bit with Dennis about whether or not there could be solar projects that the county could benefit from, obviously other things with energy efficiency associated with our facility and plant here as well. But that would be, I know the commissions use different strategies in the past, so sometimes you've hired obviously outside consultants, such like Mission Broadband or Kitty Farley and stuff to handle some of the overall stuff. So right now, I mean, obviously that's going to be an administrative draw, and I don't have a name for you really, other than myself to say that would be responsible for making sure that we're compliant. Financial reporting and stuff, you just dump that on Monica. But financial reporting and stuff, obviously, I mean, I've worked with Monica on that, but I mean, that would be my responsibility as well if we try to proceed to move forward with it. I mean, obviously, if we indicate we're interested and we can't come up with a proposal process, there's still other hoops that have to be gone through before you can spend anything. But if this is something that you have no interest in at all, or think that, you know, the 76,000 probably at the end of the day is not going to have a dramatic impact or enough of a benefit to go through all those hoops.
Well, my feeling is if we have a project in mind or, you know, a use for it that would fall within these parameters, then yes, but it doesn't sound like we do.
Well, I mean, we don't, because we didn't know we had an extra $76,000 to spend. I mean, I looked down at Dennis, and Dennis, can you come up with $76,000 worth of efficiency projects?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
I figured as much. So the downside is, of course, it just puts more on your plate, Monica's plate, with managing and financing it. But you must be asking us to consider this. I mean, when you brought it to us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could have just kind of filed this and threw it under the, you know, with all the other paperwork. And I did talk to Dennis about it. I mean, like I said, we kind of talked a little bit about solar, but it wouldn't have to be that. I mean, there's definitely things that we probably could come up with. We just haven't had enough time to get together to vet that all through and come up with a final proposal. And even looking at, I mean, I haven't read every single part of this either, what all those little, but it does indicate, they give you a blueprint that kind of makes it easy for everybody as long as you're staying within the guidelines of what they're suggesting. If we have a program that can be plugged into that, then it should be relatively straightforward.
And this isn't the last step. We've got time enough to get out of this one.
This is basically the first step, is by the end of the month, I have to fill out basically a 10-page thing that says that we have accounting and financial capacity. You know, we don't have any conflicts of interest and all that. So that's just basically, I'm at this point requesting authorization approval to go ahead with that first phase to fill out the pre-award information sheet.
So I'm going to move to approve the application to the U.S. Department of Energy for the Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant for $76,920 for energy efficient related projects.
Seconded. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Michael, you all set?
All set, thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah, Dennis.
Seriously.
After a little bit of review, I'm prepared to recommend that we accept this bid in the amount of $57,000 to do the middle roof project, including the two accessory roofs, which are this ramp and the elevator tower.
To accept the bid from GR Roofing in the amount of, tell me,
It's $57,000.
in the amount,
Exactly.
Yeah, 57,000.
in the amount of 57?
Yeah.
$57,000 for the middle roof project. Gentlemen, that's my bid to accept, that's my motion, to accept the bid from GR Roofing in the amount of 57,000 for the middle roof project.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, so unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lastly is commissioners, an executive session. Under MRSA Title 1, 4056D for union contract negotiation.
Can we take a break before that?
Well, how about you? Make that motion.
I'm gonna move that we go into executive session under MRSA Title 1, Section 405, subsection 6D for the union contract negotiations.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Scott's opposed.
No, I'm sorry, I waited, I thought you'd already voted. I
No,
just
we're
had
gonna
a
take a
question.
we'll take a 5-minute break. to go ahead.
May I have Chief Bagley come in because he's had some?
Whoever you need.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
No,
Good, thank you.